Hello, and welcome to the Complete Lakers podcast. I'm Anthony Wilson, recording from Los Angeles, California. I last recorded on Friday. Since then, uh, it's Tuesday morning right now, almost noon as I record this. And Lakers played two games back to back the last two uh, nights. Um, Sunday night, they beat the Kings without LeBron or Luka. Who's nursing a finger injury. He's going to be out like a week at least. And Austin Reaves had 51 points, 11 rebounds, and 9 assists. He followed that up last night with another 40-point game. Hit 41 last night against the Blazers. So they beat the Kings, they lose to the Blazers. So that's 92 points in the last two games for Austin. And he's averaging 34 points, 8 rebounds, 10 assists on the year. He's shooting 57, 45, 89. That's his slashes. Um, so he's just been absolutely uh, amazing to start the year. Um, I don't know how he keeps doing it. Like it seems like he should have already hit his ceiling. To be honest, if you just look at his background, he started off at Wichita State, and he transferred to Oklahoma, um, and he went undrafted. Now somebody because he wanted to end up with the Lakers. Now somebody would have drafted him. He told teams not to draft him because he wanted to sign with the Lakers as an undrafted rookie free agent. And every year since, he's just gotten better and better and better. Last year he averaged 20. This year he's averaging. I know it's still early. After that, average will come down, but averaging 34 a game. It's just it's just amazing. Uh, so this guy 6'5", a herky jerky game. Like I said, also averaging 8 rebounds and 10 assists. But what he does as a scorer is the thing. You know, 6'5", herky jerky game, but just really efficient. Can shoot it. You know, can get to his spot and get to the basket. He can get to the shoot the little bunnies, little close shots. He can just do everything. It's like nobody can guard him. You know, and it's like on the one hand, um, I don't want to overreact, but it's like, I was saying the other day. Okay, it's like, yeah, he's he's excellent. He's awesome. But like something like Desmond Bain is a good player too, right? And I was like, and then I thought about it. I said, okay, but has Desmond Bain ever scored 51 points? I'm not sure. You know, um, yeah, I would say that Austin Reaves is someone like someone like Desmond Bain, who was my you know like the natural first person I thought of, like, to compare him, like, quality wise. But then I thought about it again. It's like, I don't know if Desmond Bain is quite as good as Austin Reeves. It's like I don't want to go overboard with it, but shoot, this guy can do out there is amazing. You know, so yeah, he's a fantastic player, and more and more, because we obviously have the guys like have this guy on a 4-year, $52 million contract. Obviously, there's been a lot of talk about his what the next contract might look like. Cause he's going to be up for, like, one of those big mega $250 million extensions or whatever. And it's like, do you want to pay Austin Reeves that much? Would he give them another hometown discount? But the way he's playing, it's like it seems strange to think that this guy who went undrafted and was going to be a second round pick, even if he had decided to let somebody pick him, um, that he's worth $250 million. But if you look at it on paper and how much he keeps improving, you know, I mean, if he averages 25, 5 and 5 this year, how many other guys are going to do that? That's Booker like territory. That's obviously Shea Gilgeous, guys like that. So I mean, if he's putting the work in and he's putting up the numbers, shouldn't he be rewarded for it? So I don't know. It's just a weird thing, you know. Uh, if he were, if he could go back and redraft that draft class, he came out in 2021. Um, I don't remember who was in that class, but obviously he'd be I don't remember who was in the class. Easily, obviously, he'd be a lottery pick. I don't have to look at the class to know that. I mean, that's obviously an understatement. You know, but my point in saying that is that I think it's because of where he started that it still seems strange. If he was somebody who was drafted, top 3 or top 5 or something like that, nobody would doubt that he's worth 250 million. But because of where he started, it's like he's growing faster than his reputation. The reputation that he has around the league and amongst fans is still catching up to how quickly he's improving, how much he continues to improve. You know, so he's like what is he like 26, 27 now, something like that. So it's just amazing that how much he keeps. He just takes another leap every season. You so um, he's amazing. And I think at this point it's getting to the point where the Lakers will they darn near. I don't know. It's like on the one. See, what the thing about it is that when you have a Luka Doncic, right? It's like as great as Austin is, it's like I said, Desmond Bain, right? If you have Luka Doncic and you have Desmond Bain, maybe Desmond Bain at this point not quite. Maybe Luka's passed him up, somebody like that up. I'm sorry, maybe Austin has passed somebody like Desmond Bain up, but um, but at the same time, it's like if you have Luka and then you put Desmond Bain with him, it's really not going to make that much of a difference. The real point is that you have Luka, right, in that backcourt. Same way as in uh, Dallas. I mean, he had Kyrie, he had Brunson, he had Dinwiddie, and he got good results with all of them, right? So, like once again, when you have somebody like that, uh, the other guys are not interchangeable. But I mean, there's only one Luka, there's only one Shea, there's only one Joker. You can find some really good high octane, high offensive output shooting guards. You know, uh, it's not hard to do in today's NBA. But yeah, it's just something to think about. It's really interesting to see what he's worth to the Lakers. You know, if it's like, would you rather have Austin Reaves at 250 million, or maybe you get a lesser guy at 150 million, and you got an extra $100 million to spend on, a more traditional uh, other star, you know, to go with Luka, you know, um, to replace LeBron when LeBron, leaves, whenever that is. It's just something to think about. But yeah, man, Austin is he's incredible. Uh, and the Lakers, yeah, so they're 2-2, and they play again. Uh, is it tomorrow? Let me see. Lakers play again. Yeah, tomorrow it's at the Timberwolves, so that's probably going to be another loss. I don't think Ant Man played yesterday though. So if Ant plays, it's probably going to be a loss because they're going to want to get their get back because the Lakers beat them on Friday. Um, but yeah, uh, let's see. Um, yeah, so that's not on the Lakers. No, I wanted to switch gears to this situation that's happening in San Antonio with the Spurs. The Spurs are 4-0, and at 4-0, the Spurs are 4-0, and De'Aaron Fox, who they traded for last year, he has not even played a game yet, right? Uh, they traded for De'Aaron Fox last year, and um, unexpectedly, they got the second pick in the draft, and they took Dylan Harper, right? Now, they have Dylan Harper to start off the bench. He's come out the gate fast. He's looking like just someone he's looking like a stud already, right? They have Vassell. They have Stephon Castle, last year's Rookie of the Year, and they have De'Aaron Fox, who's probably thinking gonna be back like the start of the next month, start of November. And you sit there and you look, and so like Devin Vassell, he's not really a problem. He's like he's going to end up being like this six man or something like that, right? Uh, and then Castle, he's like a combo guard, probably going to settle in as more of a two guard, you know, uh, kind of like an Austin Reaves actually. Austin could, like last night, Austin had 8 turnovers because he was he's the only ball handler with Luka and LeBron out, um, and Castle's the type of guard I think he can play both, but when he's playing at the two, he's really a little bit more natural there. And then it's like I said, you have Harper, who's already shown that he's a stud, and looking like he's worthy of that number 2 pick that he was taken at. And then you have De'Aaron Fox, right? Now, De'Aaron Fox is a fantastic player. He's only 27 years old. He's one of the best fourth quarter scorers that I've ever seen. De'Aaron Fox really the type of guy who could just score at will, basically, right? He's maybe one of the best scoring point guards I've ever seen play the game, right? And he's a fantastic player, like I said, but they're already 4-0 and he's not playing. And Harper looks like I said, he's a stud. So basically, they basically just got De'Aaron Fox last year during the season, and he's already looking like the odd man out. And I can say odd man out because, like I said, Vassell's not really the issue. You can get a Devin Vassell, even if if they have to move him or whatever, that's fine. He's a good player. You can get a Devin Vassell. But Castle and Harper, they are building block young players, right? And so Fox, just so happened he's not playing to start the season. They're 4-0. They look great. And so he's basically just like he's a luxury that you don't need. He's only going to take minutes away from the youngsters. And he's young too. But when he was in Sacramento, they made up the All Star. I mean, they were like a good team. You know, he's an All Star player. But who knows how good Dylan Harper can be? And Dylan Harper, the thing I like, Fox was like 6'2", I think. Harper's 6'6". Right? And he's left-handed too, just like De'Aaron is. So you just look at it and go, okay, well, what do they need De'Aaron Fox for? Right? Like I said, it's not. If for one thing, if they came and they were 2-2 or 1-3 and 0-4, they're 4-0 already, right? And they're only gonna get they're basically like the new OKC. They're like, and not even this OKC with Shea Gildas, because Shea is like 26, 27 now. Wemby's like 21. Castle's like 21. Harper's like 19, 20, something like that. So I mean, these guys are so young. They're really like the OKC. When OKC had Durant and Westbrook and Harden and those guys. Like you got guys who are barely able to drink, and they're they were 2011 they made the conference finals. 2012 they made the finals. So And I think that this Spurs team, man, it's just like I said last time. It's just a matter of time before they have their takeover. Um, so like I said, what do they need De'Aaron Fox for? And it sucks because they just got him. I don't think they would trade him to Houston. I think they could, but why would you trade uh, such a good player to a conference rival inside the same state, no less, right? Although that's what the Mavericks did, right? The Mavericks traded Luka to the Lakers, so anything is possible after that Luka trade. But yeah, I just see that it's a situation that I just don't see any way that they can have Castle, Harper, and Fox. And I guess but it's like, okay, so like they took Harper, they took the best player available in the draft, even though they had Fox, right? And then it's like, okay, well, why didn't they take VJ Edgecombe? Well, they already have Stephon Castle, so they didn't need VJ Edgecombe either, right? And it's like, why didn't they take Amari Bailey? Well, Amari Bailey hasn't exactly come out as fast as, uh, you know, um, uh, as Harper and Edgecombe, and even Cooper Flag has been like up and down. It's very so very early in the season. These guys are just kids. They're like, I don't know, any of them are 20 years old, right? So, um, you just have to. It's like, what were they supposed to do? Uh, I think they did the right. It sucks because now De'Aaron Fox is like, he's like, well, what the hell? I just kind of forced my way there. People knew that's where I wanted to go anyway. And now it's like, well, buddy, I'm sorry, but this is, Spurs haven't said anything. This is just me looking at it and using what I feel like is just common sense. That it's just it's not going to work. You can't have 3-star guards. I can't think of a single uh, team like that. You know, I think Harper and Castle could play together. You could bring Vassell off the bench. Where does that? How does that? I don't see how De'Aaron Fox fits in there. You know, so yeah. I don't know, but it was good for the family. They got a hell of an asset, and they can take him and they can flip him, and maybe they can get a wing who, like I said, not an Amari Bailey type, somebody who's just looking to get buckets, but someone who can, do a little bit of everything. You know, remember they get a big guy to pair with Wemby, maybe like a more physical. I don't know. We'll just have to see what they do. Like Fox is a hell of a player. You know, um, maybe they flip him and get a draft pick back and see what they can get. You know, but this is an all-star player, so you want to make sure you get a good return for him. But yeah, it's just I just looking at it, thinking about it, like uh, it's a good problem to have, but it's also the type of problem that it's only a matter of time before it's like, hey, you know, uh, it's like Lakers, they had to trade Eddie Jones to make room for Kobe. It just had to be. They couldn't exist on the same team uh, uh, without Eddie taken away from Kobe, and even vice versa. They had to be split up. So um, that's uh, just the way it is. Uh, all right, so now switching gears to college football. Um, the LSU Tigers, uh, they fired Brian Kelly. Um, his buyout was $54 million, which makes that's the second most expensive buyout in the history of college football, behind Jimbo Fisher. When Texas A&M fired Jimbo Fisher, they paid him $77 million to get him out of there. And I didn't think that. Uh, I was surprised. I didn't think that. Um, I know like people like I was listening to mine the other day. It's obvious people do not like Brian Kelly, right? Very good football coaches, but mine said he's Hall of Fame resume, no doubt. But people just don't like him, and you can see why. It's easy to see. It's easy to see just from looking at Brian Kelly on TV. It's just easy to see why you wouldn't know somebody. People don't like Brian Kelly, right? He just doesn't seem like an authentic person. It doesn't really seem like he's a real people person. Like he's just good at coaching football, and then he's not really good at anything else as far as dealing with other people and being relatable and stuff like that. And uh, so I got him. I got him out of there. And at first, I was thinking to myself, well, are LSU standards a little bit too high? Because really, their history is like a top college football program. As far as I'm concerned, as far as I know, it really only goes back to Nick Saban, right? Because they won 4 national championships. One of them was like a long, for me or anybody listening to this podcast, was born. Um, and then uh, they won 3 in the last 22 years, right? But I think the thing is that their last 3 head coaches have all won national championships. Nick Saban, 2003, Les Miles, 2007, and obviously Ed Orgeron in 2019. So when your last 3 coaches won national championships, that's kind of like Ohio State. Jim Tressel won, Urban Meyer won, Ryan Day won, right? So when you do that, the expectation is that, well, this is what we do here. And if we're competing at that level, then the coach is not doing his job, right? So I think that's why they got Brian Kelly. Even though he's been okay there, they have in 4 years, they weren't able to compete. They weren't in contention for a national championship. It seemed like it might happen this year because they had a good defense, but instead they're 5-3, and they lost to the Aggies on Saturday, and they stormed the field at LSU, and they got Brian Kelly up out there. Now, I say all of this really just I want to talk about Lincoln Riley, right? Because USC plays at Nebraska on Saturday. They're 5-2. They had a bye last week. LSU was 5-2 coming into the Texas A&M game, right? Brian Kelly left Notre Dame for LSU. I think I read it was the day after. It was the day after Lincoln Riley left USC for. Left Oklahoma for USC. So they're on the same timeline. LSU decided Brian Kelly's not good enough, and USC they're in the same position. Remember, they were 10-1 in Lincoln Riley's first 11 games, and ever since then it's been bad, right? Um, and I think that I think that USC will not. And I mentioned Jimbo Fisher's his buyout, and I don't. I know Amani said yesterday that there's a chance that the USC job could be open, but I don't really hear like any rumblings that Lincoln Riley is like. I probably feels like, well, if Lincoln Riley coaching, if Brian Kelly got fired after losing to Texas A&M, shouldn't Lincoln Riley be on the hot seat against Nebraska? Because they're in literally the exact same situation. They started at the same time at the new school, and it hasn't gone well. And now now USC owes Lincoln Riley. They would owe Lincoln Riley more. They owe like pretty much the amount of 70. It would be closer to the amount that Texas A&M paid Jimbo to fire him. It was something like I think it was 80 million to start the season around there. So it would be like I guess it would be like 75, million, 70, 75 million, to get rid of Lincoln Riley. And will they do it? Like I said, I haven't heard any rumblings. It doesn't feel like they would. You never know what might happen. Um, but I think that Lincoln Riley, um, I think something that Lincoln Riley has going for him is that USC's recent success has not been as good as LSU's. Like I said, LSU's last three head coaches, they won national championships. USC's last three coaches got fired, right? So uh, that's Lane Kiffin. This is supposed to, after Pete Carroll. When I say last week, I mean the previous three head coaches before Brian Kelly at LSU won national championships. Saban, Les Miles, and Ed Orgeron. The previous three coaches before Lincoln Riley, head coaches before Lincoln Riley, they got fired. That's Lane Kiffin, Steve Sarkisian, and Clay Helton. USC has not played for the national championship since the Pete Carroll days. They haven't been in the college football playoffs since the playoff started. And I think that's probably it's like when USC hired Lincoln Riley, that was considered a not just a home run, but like a grand slam hire. He was this young guy. He'd had a lot of success at Oklahoma. One thing he hadn't done is won a national championship, and he was considered a grand slam hire. And I think, and I don't have any type of inside information. I think USC might be thinking like, not only do they owe him like $70 million or left on his deal, but they 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 should look at it and go, well, at one point is the coach not the problem, right? We're just going to keep firing and hiring new coaches, and paying up to be paying two coaches at one time when the problem is not getting better. Like I said, it's not like LSU where LSU is like, okay, our last three coaches won national championships before you, Brian Kelly. So what's your problem, right? USC can't say that. They can say, well, look at these other guys. Well, look at Lane Kiffin. Lane Kiffin left USC. He went to Alabama, did his little time as the offensive coordinator there. Then he went to Florida. I think it was Florida International, right? And he had to do his time. Now he's at Ole Miss, having a great time, and now he looks like he's going to be able to choose between Florida and LSU because they both have head coaching openings. Um, same thing with Steve Sarkisian, right? He was at USC, then he left, then he he didn't leave, he got fired, and then he goes to Alabama, does his little time there. He goes with the Falcons, uh, and then he ends up back at Texas, and at Texas, they're like 6-2 this year. It hasn't gone the way they thought, but they were in the playoff last year, you know. So you got other, and then like even like somebody like Eddie O. Eddie O was the interim for a second. He left, and they didn't hire him. Then he went and won a national championship at LSU. So uh, it's like, what's the point of just? I mean, if Lincoln Riley can't get it right, who can get it right? Who are they gonna? Who are they gonna? Who are they gonna replace Lincoln Riley with? If he can't do it, you know. So it's yeah. It's like at a certain point, it's not the coach, it's the program. And I've said this before. This goes back before. This go. This is a four. Uh, um, uh, John Robinson left USC for the first time in 1982. Uh, since then, USC's had uh, eight or nine coaches. Um, I know that out of USC's last eight coaches, I don't remember if that's uh, including Lincoln Riley or not, but of their last eight coaches, seven of them got fired. Well, yeah, it's not including Lincoln Riley. So the 8 coaches prior to Lincoln Riley, 7 of them got fired. Right, and the other one is Pete Carroll. So this is something that goes back over 40 years now, where USC has been a spotty football program. You know, so yeah, that's just a thought that I had. I was thinking, I was like, well, if Brian Kelly got fired, why wouldn't USC fire Lincoln Riley? I think I just laid out why I think they probably won't. They're probably going to stick it out, and see at least until that. Check back in a couple of years, maybe, when that buyout number isn't as high as it is now. If things aren't getting better, they're not have made the playoffs still by then but by then that'll be year 6 for Lincoln Riley, without really doing anything. So, yeah, uh, but yeah, that's my thoughts on that. But we'll see what happens on Saturday. You never know. It's college football, man. All right, so before I get out of here, just a reminder to hit that subscribe button next to the Complete Podcast Network and to follow the show on Twitter and Instagram at TC Pod Network. You can also send feedback and mailbag questions to CompleteLakersPodcast at gmail.com. I am out.